Hello, welcome to the morning news. Our top story takes us to Vienna. Iran and the six major world powers reach a nuclear deal. While Iran hailed it a victory and Israel a historic mistake, the prices of oil plummeted. Under the deal, the US, the European Union, and the UN will lift sanctions imposed on Iran in exchange for agreeing long-term curbs on a nuclear program. The US has suspected its aim at building nuclear weapons. The arms embargo on Iran will continue for 5 years as well. The U.S. Congress has 60 days to review the agreement. If lawmakers vote down, President Obama can veto the rejection.
And I think we all know that the decision we are going to take today is not only on Iran's nuclear program, but it is much, much more than this. It is a decision that can open the way to a new chapter in international relations and show that diplomacy, coordination, cooperation can overcome decades of tensions and confrontation.
And by the way, earlier this morning, President Barack Obama addressed the press in Washington. He praised the efforts of Iran and negotiators from the six major world powers that achieved the nuclear agreement in Austria.
Today, after 2 years of negotiations, the United States, together with our international partners, has achieved something that decades of animosity has not: a comprehensive long-term deal with Iran that will prevent it from obtaining a nuclear weapon. This deal demonstrates that American diplomacy can bring about real and meaningful change.
We continue in Mexico. The escape from jail of drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman has once again exposed the massive corruption affecting the country. Meanwhile, the Attorney General's office has announced a reward of about $4 million for information leading to his recapture. The Interior Secretary Miguel Angel Osorio has admitted that the leader of the powerful Sinaloa cartel counted with the complicity of prison and government officials. A massive manhunt is currently underway in at least 10 states.
It is undeniable that Guzman's prison break involves corruption within the Mexico Altiplano prison personnel and government officials. The involvement by prison and state officials was an act of treason for the Mexican nation and its people.
As the Colombian peace talks continue in Havana, our correspondent in Bogotá, Natalia Margarita, reports on reactions in Colombia to the major de-escalation agreement reached by the FARC rebels and the government.
Measures to de-escalate the conflict was the latest government announcement following the FARC's decision to revive a unilateral truce. And even though a bilateral ceasefire still needs to be agreed, social organizations see with hope that Colombia is now one step closer to a cessation of hostilities.
Those announcements seeking a bilateral cessation of hostilities will create a suitable environment for the public opinion and for the confidence of Colombians toward the peace process.
The 4 months following the 20th of July, when the FARC's unilateral truce will be set in place, are going to be crucial. That's the time lapse in which the government is expected to start implementing reciprocal de-escalation measures.
The civil society is going to put pressure through street mobilizations, public deliberations, statements, initiatives, so the next 4 months do not pass without a bilateral ceasefire. We obviously want this bilateral ceasefire as soon as possible.
A pressing issue is to raise awareness on what Colombia gains from a de-escalation of the confrontation, something that, even though it was clear during the last FARC's unilateral ceasefire, was not valued enough.
It did not get much attention, and once it was lifted and the bombings and the deaths came back, then Colombians were shocked and mad. That is understandable, but that's also why this time we should value the unilateral ceasefire.
The peace delegations in Havana have also requested the presence of a delegate from the United Nations and the UNASUR, something that was also welcomed by peace advocates in Colombia.
The president of UNASUR, who is Uruguayan, as well as the Secretary General Ernesto Samper, know in depth the Colombian conflict, and they really can, without any personal interests, contribute in a credible, reliable, and fundamental way to the peace process.
Social organizations have announced that the National Encounter for Peace on the 22nd and the 23rd of July, as they believe that social mobilization is going to be crucial in the upcoming weeks and months. Natalia Margarita, Telesur, Bogotá, Colombia.
More on Latin America, our correspondent in Ecuador, Liz Sharfies, has the story on opposition plans to continue anti-government protests despite President Rafael Correa's call for dialogue and peaceful debate.
Opposition leaders are meeting to discuss the future actions they will take against the government of President Rafael Correa. The National United Collective of Workers, Indigenous, and Social Organizations, known as SIDOCUT, met to evaluate the marches of the past month, common demands, and begin defining the date for a national strike.
On the 18th, we will possibly announce the national strike. We picked this date for the announcement because the 17th and the 18th is the National Assembly of CONAIE. We are respecting each of the organizations that make up this bloc. We can move forward with the date until all sectors have met the objective of the meetings within their own organizations.
The National Dialogue on Wealth Redistribution and Social Equality has encouraged the participation of all sectors of society, but the opposition continues refusing to enter the debate. A manual by Gene Sharp on soft coup tactics used to overthrow regimes was cited by President Correa as being followed by the opposition in their attempts to destabilize his government.
In Ecuador, we can take this manual and look at how its phases are applied with exact times, months, with dates because they have been using it constantly.
President Correa said that the government still counts on the support of the armed forces, despite rumors put forward by opposition media which suggested otherwise. Meanwhile, he has warned citizens of tactics used by the opposition, such as constant mobilizations and the creation of incidents, as being part of this manual.
Nobody said this was going to be easy, but we cannot lose our happiness. We need to be more alert than ever, because these people will continue. And what they are following is the manual of soft coups. Everyone needs to be aware of this. We should all know what is happening in the country to know what we are up against and to be ready to defend our revolution.
Citizens have been warned that conditions for a soft coup are being set by the opposition. While the National Dialogue is reaching out to increasingly more sectors across the country, the opposition has said that in the next week they will formally announce the date of the national strike and will continue marching. Liz Sharfies, Telesur, Ecuador.
Now let's take a look at the world news. We begin in Greece.
After Greece and its EU and IMF creditors reached a debt deal to avoid the country's bankruptcy and exit from the Eurozone, the parliament in Athens would vote on whether to accept the agreement. Nikophiles, spokesman for Greece's ruling Syriza party in parliament, said that the country's government cannot be allowed to collapse in the face of dissent over the terms of a new bailout. Despite certain opposition, lawmakers are expected to approve the deal.
We're running ahead of ourselves. We'll see how everything goes. I repeat that what's important today is that the government gives an answer to the coup and that the country is saved from the attempt to bankrupt it economically.
Leaders from around the world meeting in Ethiopia's capital Addis Ababa stressed the importance of committing to reduce poverty and promote inclusive growth. The meeting is the third international conference on financing for development. About 7,000 stakeholders, including government representatives, corporate leaders, and civil society leaders, are attending the four-day event. They are expected to adopt the Addis Ababa Action Agenda. This is a financing framework that will support the implementation of the UN post-2015 development agenda meant to succeed the Millennium Development Goals.
Our destiny as humanity is one, that we want to end poverty, that we want to preserve the planet for future generations, that we want a global order that cares for everyone.
In the US, the son of a Boston police captain has been arrested because he was allegedly preparing to carry out Islamic State group attacks at a university. Alexander Chicolo from Adams, Massachusetts, was arrested and charged on July 4th. He allegedly bought 4 weapons from an undercover FBI informant. He told him of his plans on the university and in 2 bars, as well as a police station. In New York, the family of Eric Garner has reached a $5.9 million settlement with the city. Garner is the unarmed black man that was choked to death by police. The family was planning to sue the city for $75 million in damages. Garner's death and the killing of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri sparked massive protests around the country. The incident also exposed the grave human rights situation in the United States against minorities, particularly blacks.
We end our newscast in Russia. The preparations for the 2018 FIFA World Cup are in full swing. The country's getting 11 cities ready for the highly popular football tournament. The local organizing committee are currently showing journalists around the 11 World Cup cities to show how the work is coming along. U.S. authorities suggested Russia could strip off the cup due to an investigation into FIFA corruption granting the event. More on these on our website, telesurtv.net/English. Thanks for watching and have a good day.